What's up, everybody? Late last year, Marvel published an amazing 4-issue limited series titled Predator vs. Wolverine, which told the story of Wolverine being hunted by a Yautja predator over the course of many years, including their many back-and-forth encounters that inevitably led to a final showdown. It's a great series by writer Ben Percy that we covered in its entirety here on the channel, and you can check that out right here. But now Ben Percy is back with the follow-up 4-issue Predator series that has a Predator clan invading Wakanda to retrieve its Vibranium, and they will kill anyone who tries to stop them, which obviously means Black Panther and the other heroes of Wakanda have a deadly fight coming. So we're in for some amazing action. Okay, let's start with a little more info on the Yautja race, which we know as predators, and what makes their hunters such effective killing machines. As a whole, the Yautja are a sentient humanoid extraterrestrial species with a barbaric warrior-centric culture that lives by the survival of the fittest mindset. As the open of both Predator vs. titles explain, they come from a planet with an atmosphere similar to that of Earth, but their technological advancement far surpasses that of humans, and they use their interstellar travel capabilities to locate and hunt other dangerous creatures throughout the universe for honor and sport. Their technology is also on full display during these hunts, as they wield cloaking systems, plasma cannons, highly advanced sensors, and more, alongside basic weapons like spears, blades, and nets to capture and kill their prey. And every successful hunt ends with the predator claiming a trophy from their victim. So as the comic puts it, it takes a remarkable human to outmatch a predator. And that, my friends, is the perfect segue to the beginning of the story, because the issue opens in the Wolfstar system and gives us the origin of the Yautja clan on its way to invade Wakanda and its motive for doing so. We learned that at one point the Yautja had found a planet that was one of the rare gems of the universe, with an atmosphere and abundant life. So the ruler of the Yautja gave his 2 sons and their rival clans an opportunity to claim it as their own exclusive hunting grounds. Now, each of the 2 sons wanted to impress their father with a victory over the other, but the father actually favored one of the sons because he was the stronger of the 2 by far. In fact, the comic says that the king never considered his sons equals, and that the son he favored had the strength of an entire hunting party, while the other was born small and missing a leg, and it was he who demanded the opportunity to claim the hunting grounds for himself. But because their entire society is ruled by that survival of the fittest mentality, he viewed his smaller son as weak and disposable, and to make that abundantly clear, he gave his stronger son his powerful spear to use on this hunt. But this was no ordinary spear. It was the king's most prized hunting trophy that absorbed and expelled kinetic energy. This not only gave the stronger brother a serious advantage, but it solidified the king's favoritism, which speaks volumes considering this hunt would result in the death of one brother or the other. Honor was at stake and perhaps the future of the throne, and with that, the 2 rival clans went to war. As the comic tells us, the blood sport lasted through many rotations of the sun. At first, they picked each other off by hunting with stealth, but in the end, the older brother's clan won because of the rare special power of the spear, the damned spear, as we see him slam it to the ground, dispersing a tidal wave of energy against his younger brother's clan. We learned that his father had collected the spear during one of the greatest hunts of his life many years ago when he staged a month-long hunt on Earth. The father had brought home many skulls and a ton of trophies, but the spear contained power like no other in their arsenal. It was made of something the Yautja called God metal, but the people of Earth know it as Vibranium. That's right, if you didn't already guess, the special spear is made out of the Wakandan metal Vibranium, which explains why it's such a deadly weapon. A weapon that easily let the older brother defeat his younger brother. While it is true that the younger brother is the one who had asked for this blood hunt, the comic tells us he only did so because he felt that it was his only choice. To live in his brother's shadow and his father's disdain was to live in dishonor. This had been his chance to prove himself stronger and worthier despite his disadvantages, because even in his failure, he could have claimed honor to his clan if he had died in battle. But his older brother, being the jerk that he is, chose to humiliate him instead, stripping him of his weapons, tying him to a totem, and abandoning him in disgust. But the little brother wouldn't allow himself to die in such a state. He was a true Yautja and understood that strength came in many forms. His brother had always had the advantage of size and mobility, so he had no choice but to be smarter. He had integrated tech into his body to make himself more formidable. Subcutaneous blades were one advantage of many, as he ejects them like Wolverine to free himself from the totem. The comic then brings us to Wakanda, where we see the Dor Milaje and the Hatut Zerazi having a friendly competition competition to see who can tag the Black Panther first. The losers will take over the winner's palace duties for a month. A member of the Huttut says one man, even him, is no match for the Huttut Surazi. If you're wondering, the Huttut are basically Wakanda's most elite assassins, police, and spies. Okoye then says, mind your tongue, soldier. The Dora Milaje know that this is not one man. The Panther is the living manifestation of the will and determination of every Wakandan. If you believe he could fail, then you believe the same of our kingdom. Anyway, after this, Black Panther comes sneak attacking in from the top of the trees, taking on both the Milaje and the Huttut. Panther says, Okoye, my finest commander and old friend, do you need a cup of coffee before we get started? You seem tired. She replies, says the man who needs a vibranium suit of armor to best me. He replies, oh, but I hear the Black Panther is more than a man. She says, you heard that? I was lying then. As we see Black Panther's suit getting hacked. Turns out it's his sister Shuri who says, make your move, Okoye. My brother deserves to be humbled. He should know how it feels to be naked of armor. Maybe then he'd be more open to sharing Wakanda's resources with the world. Black Panther tells his sister, day after day you're bothering me about this. It's annoying and embarrassing. I have said it so many times before, as did our father, as did his father. To share our resources with the world is a good-hearted impulse, but we will make ourselves vulnerable, a target. Shuri asks, what good is strength if you only use it for yourself? How can we stand by when so many suffer? Her brother tells her, we cannot risk it. I will admit you are smarter than me, sister, but that does not mean you are wiser. She tells him, let me show you something outside of all your royal posturing. He then follows her outside the foothills of Wakanda's capital, where she takes him to beautiful waterfalls. Shuri tells him, but it's more than that. It's a holy place where many currents flow together. Majikina is a seer from the river tribe, and he brings the news of the water. We are then taken back to the Wolf Star system where the young predator is. Captions tell us the younger Yautja couldn't stop thinking about the vibranium spear. The air had shaken when it released its energy. His very marrow and guts felt bruised. He imagined a helmet made of the same material. Body armor, a wrist gauntlet, a leg. He could build himself into the ultimate predator. When the Yautja put on their helmets, their visual intelligence is heightened. He found this reassuring. The body was not enough, not just for him, for all of them. He could become their superior so long as he concentrated on evolving as a weapon. While it was true that he and what remained of his clan had been deeply humiliated, there was still a chance to show his worth. They had been unfairly disadvantaged. Their loss was not an honest one. As soon as he understood his father was maneuvering against him, he had arranged for a backup plan. He had hidden his ship below a lake. They would travel to Earth and hunt down the source of vibranium, and they would kill anyone who stood in their way. All archive data made it clear that vibranium was not part of the native geologic record, so he employed an energy scan. His helmet had collected the kinetic signature of the metal when he was attacked. He sought out similar frequencies. They were blips throughout the world, including in New York and off the coast of Central America, but Africa was the epicenter, the mother lode, and it was here he discovered an energy dome with cloaking technology similar to the Yautja zone. Only this wasn't meant to camouflage a body or ship, it was meant to hide a nation. The shield was stronger than the Yautja's weapons, but it wasn't smarter than their algorithms. They hacked through the perimeter, the greatest defense system on Earth, like a blade through flesh. I just have to pause for a second to say this story is shaping up to be awesome. I love how this is a story of a predator who was thought to be weaker and less than, being born with one leg and smaller than his older brother, trying to prove himself worthy with vibranium being the way to do that, giving him the edge he needs. I also dug how the predator scans for vibranium on Earth detected blips of it throughout the world, like New York, referring to Captain America's shield. Another dope aspect is that the predator's weapons weren't able to pierce through Wakandan shields, but their algorithms were. I thought that was a nice little touch. Anyway, back to the story. We're brought back to Shuri, who asks the seer to show her brother what he has seen. He tells T'Challa humans are one tribe and many are suffering. 500 miles to our north, a year-long drought and high winds have created a perfect storm for a raging grassland fire. 1,000 miles to our east, a new virus is making people cough their lungs out. And that is just the beginning of what I see in the water. War, poverty, famine, disease, drought. Shuri says they need our help, suggesting they send envoys and aid, but that's the short-term solution. They should be building hospitals, universities, a vibranium power grid. T'Challa tells her vibranium is not a shareable resource. I am far from heartless, Shuri. I just need us to be careful. I am more than a king. I am a protector. T'Challa suggested ways to help them by arranging anonymous donations, but Shuri doesn't fully agree with him, thinking they need to do more. But as they're talking, they hear a big boom in the sky. We are immediately brought back to the Predator's perspective, and captured captions say his suit, the Black Panther suit. Vibranium was woven into it. The Yautja imagined it as a trophy he could call his own. He instructed 2 of his party to continue their survey of Wakanda to locate the source of Vibranium, but the others should join him. They were going hunting. Back on the ground, Black Panther says the birds as a ship flies by, continuing to say, "Something is wrong. Get the Elder to safety. We will speak of this later." Panther then radios Okoye saying, "I need you to join me for another maneuver." But this time the stakes are real. However, the comms are down or jammed and she can't fully understand him. While running through the treetops, we see a predator has their locks on Black Panther, with several of them watching him from the treetops as well. One of them then takes a shot, causing Panther to fall from the trees. Captions say the Vibranium weave saved him from death, but the force of the impact dulled his brain. He fell in concussed darkness, and the cold mud of the swamp swallowed him up. The Panther had been tagged after all, not by the Dora Milaje or the Tutzarazi, but the Predators. We are then taken to the Wakandan design group, where Shuri takes helping the world outside of Wakanda into her own hands. She then gets in an aircraft and says, "We will open up our doors and share the Wakandan resources," as she starts flying out of Wakanda to help the outside world. While piloting the ship, she says, "Control, this is Shuri, approaching the perimeter of the dome, requesting access." And as Control approves her for exit status, we see everyone at Control is slaughtered by a predator. As captions say, the Yautja had heard her voice before. The hunting party did not want any outside interference. Locking down the perimeter would serve them in that regard and in another. So that's what they're in the control room for, to lock down Wakanda from anything leaving or entering. Shuri, trying to talk to the Control, realizes something is wrong and turns around saying, "Control, this is Shuri. I'm approaching entry." But the dome has already been closed off by the Predators and she just crashes into it, causing her ship to explode. Captions say the dome would keep everyone in as well as out and serve as its own hunting preserve, as we see Predators in the treetops with sights set on the Dora Milaje. And that brings issue 1 of Predator vs. Black Panther to a close. I gotta say, this is off to a fantastic start, like I said halfway through this episode. But at the very end of the issue, we see the Predators have effectively made Wakanda a hunting preserve, which is all kinds of badass. The setup here is so freaking good, and if the first Predator vs. Wolverine series is any indication, the twists and turns along the way will be great in this too. Obviously, Black Panther and Wakanda are almost a lock to come out on top in the end, but I have a feeling this younger brother will also come out on top in his own way. He may end up being defeated by Black Panther, but could still walk away with enough Vibranium to defeat his older brother and potentially his father. Or could we see T'Challa forced to join forces with the younger Yautja against his older, more powerful brother? Really, anything is possible, and honestly, if the rest of the issues are this good, this is gonna land toward the top of the list for our favorite comic series this year. Benjamin Percy is absolutely killing it with these Predator vs. Marvel books, and it opens up so much potential for other matchups. For instance, a Predator vs. Spider-Man would be amazing, or how about a Predator vs. Captain America series set before he went into ice during the World War II era? Or could you imagine the Predator going after the Hulk as the ultimate prize? That would really stretch the concept of Predator's capabilities and their mythos, so we would love to see that play out. Another cool possibility would be a series where Predator targets a ruthless villain like Kraven the Hunter. Just bring them all at this point. But there you have it, friends, the first issue of Predator vs. Black Panther. You can bet we are going to be covering the entire series as it drops, and then we'll combine them into a long-form complete story in the end. But now it's your turn. Let us know what you thought of this issue down in the comment section. Other than that, we will see you next time when we talk about all things comics.